We all know there have been many different versions of our favourite Marvel characters in the comic books and indeed in the movies over the years, and it is no exception in Marvel Crisis Protocol. So in this video, I'm going to break down and see which version of the character wore it best. Hey guys, Rich from Rich Big Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. And this is a video I've been thinking about doing for quite some time, and with the big announcement last week of the brand new core box bringing us brand new versions of 11, yes 11 of our favourite characters in Marvel Crisis Protocol, I thought this would be a great time to do it. So we do have a couple of rules when we're breaking this down. Rule number one is we are only looking at characters who cannot be fielded in the same squad. So what do we mean by that? Well, the likes of Ghost Rider and Cosmic Ghost Rider, whilst they are both technically Ghost Riders, they have different aliases. So, you know, one of them is Frank Castle, the other one is Jonathan Blaze. Similarly with Nick Fury. We've got Nick Fury Sr. and Nick Fury Jr., so they can both be fielded in the same squad. So we're looking exclusively at characters who cannot be played in the same squad at the same time. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So the first guy that we're going to be looking at is the original Avenger himself, Steve Rogers. Obviously in the original core box, he did have a little bit of a glow up during the 2022 card pack, the original leader of the Avengers. And then I think last year at some point, we did get Steve Rogers, Captain America, or Boomer Cap, as I know Quinn likes to call him. This guy doesn't have a leadership and is part of the SHIELD team. And then lastly, we've had the brand new Captain America First Avenger, who is another leader of the Avengers. For me, this was a two-horse race. It was either between Captain America Steve Rogers or indeed Captain America First Avenger. And I think both of these leaders are going to be absolutely viable within the Avengers. I think it's going to come down to what your personal play style is. For me, right now, it is Captain America Steve Rogers that just pips it. I think that a day unlike any other, reducing the cost of the first superpower that you spend is really, really good. I do still think Earth's Mightiest Heroes has got some absolute legs on it, but I'm going to need a little bit more game time with him to really sort of decide whether or not he is better. I'd even say there's a world where you can potentially take both of these in the same roster and pick which one you want to play depending on what you're coming up against. Okay, on to the evil side of the core box, Johann Schmidt, aka the Red Skull. Obviously, we have the original Red Skull that came in the original core box, and a character that didn't get any glow up or any changes to his card, either up or down. I was always a little bit surprised. I always felt like the 4 power or the 4 threat Red Skull was a little bit underpowered. We then did get, of course, the version of Red Skull Master of Hydra, bringing that world domination leadership, but also bringing his grunts, making him a character that is played a lot both in and indeed outside of affiliation. And then rounding it off even, we have got Red Skull Master of the World with My Cabal is only for the strong. I've only managed to play one game with him so far, but my winner for this category, and it may be a little bit of a surprise, is going to be the new Red Skull Master of the World. I've never been a big fan of the Master of Hydra version. Hydra are not an affiliation that I particularly like to play. I do, however, really like playing Cabal, and I think that leadership is going to be so much fun, and for me just encapsulates even what Cabal can be, and I think for the 4 threat that he costs, I think for me he just tips it out. Next up, we've got the character in the game that was the first character ever to have a second character of her. Obviously, we've got the original 2-threat Black Widow, aka Natasha Romanoff. We then got really not that long after Black Widow, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. There was a real weird thing here. You've got Natasha Romanova, Natasha Romanoff. I believe, and let me check, it is Natasha Romanoff. So even though they have slightly different names on these cards, I've probably not updated my cards. There has been an errata for it, so you can't field any of these together. But interestingly, we have a 2, a 3, and a 4 threat version of the Black Widow, which, you know, is quite fun. It'd be interesting to see where the new one sits. For me, this is going to be one where the original is just still best. She does pip it for me. Being a 2 threat and being really the only 2 threat option in Avengers right now, and I believe also in S.H.I.E.L.D. as well, she does take that top spot for me when it comes to which Natasha I'm going to be fielding. Although I do like the look of the new one. The Big Green Machine next, and this is a character who this would have been an easy win for the Immortal Hulk version of Bruce Banner if Hulk did not get a glow up. Very, very different characters. They're both big, they're both tanky, they're on the board. I know there's a lot of love for Immortal Hulk, especially in the Midnight Suns at the moment, but for me, for that 6th threat, he costs a threat less. And I think for me, he actually does that little bit more. He's got so much damage that he can put out, both action and out of action damage with all of the throws that he's got. Yeah, he's really, really good, and he takes the winner for the Bruce Banner spot for me. Okay, next up we have got Matt Murdock and the original Daredevil, or should we call him the ballerina of Hell's Kitchen. Not much love for this character. A very, very underpowered 4th threat. I'd love to see some changes made to him, as I outlined in my last MCP video. But he is, of course, coming up against Shadowland Daredevil. He was the 2nd leader of the criminal syndicate. He's now like one of 32, I think. Brings his grunts with him as well. I will still say that I don't think Shadowland Daredevil is the best 4th threat leader in the game right now. But he's very, very solid. And with those grunts, he definitely wins over his original counterpart. The big-headed freak, George Tarleton, even next. A character that did get a change. He did get a little bit taken off him. This guy was an absolute beast if you played Marvel Crisis Protocol in the early days. He obviously got the new version, the MODOK Scientist Supreme, one of those 37 leaders of the criminal syndicate. The second one costing a threat less. But for me, he just doesn't do that much. I absolutely love the original MODOK. I still play him to this day in my Cabal. Rarely play him in Criminal Syndicate. There's some other 5 threats that are really vying for it. So for me, the original MODOK wins this one. Next up then, another character who has both had a glow up himself and has 2 other iterations. It is, of course, Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, starting out with the original 3 threat version that came in the core box. And as I mentioned, he did get a little bit of a glow up, and he is an absolutely solid 3 threat. Hulkbuster, however, a bit less so. I think this is a character that really, really needs a little bit of help, especially as he's a 6th threat, and especially as he is a leader. I think that leadership is just a bit lacking. And then we do have Invincible Iron Man, a new 4 threat version of the Iron Man, Tony Stark. He is going to be a leader in S.H.I.E.L.D. as well, bringing a lot of Wakanda stuff with him. He's got the Wakanda reroll. He's got Jarvis, which is the extra rerolls, a little bit like what Shuri puts out. I'm really, really, really excited to get this guy on the table, and I think this could be the guy that actually gets me playing S.H.I.E.L.D. eventually. So for me, Invincible Iron Man wins out against the other 2. Oh, next up is a sad, sad character in Marvel Crisis Protocol. It is Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man. And obviously, as per the rules, guys, we're not going to be including Miles Morales' Spider-Man or even the brand new Superior Spider-Man. They all have different aliases. So it is just Spider-Man Peter Parker going up against amazing Spider-Man Peter Parker. I'm not a fan in particular of either of these two characters, but if you compare them side by side, Spider-Man, the original one, is a very, very underpowered 4-threat character. I think for 5-threat, Amazing Spider-Man is absolutely fine, perfectly serviceable. There's some really nice extract shenanigans you can do with him, especially as he is a long move on a medium base. So for me, the Amazing Spider-Man just beats out the original one. Stephen Vincent Strange next, and I absolutely love this character, as I know Quinn does, but probably no more than what Ron does. Ron absolutely loves this guy. He is the only leader of the Defenders, and for me, he has one of the best leaderships in the game. Again, that's just my personal opinion, that's my personal play style. Being able to spend 1 power and change your attack type, basically being able to mitigate any of your opponent's defenses, is absolutely cool. Defenders are just not in a great spot at the moment. However, he does make an amazing Avenger. I think he could be really good under the new Steve as well. But he's obviously coming up against his Sorcerer Supreme version. He's got some different stuff. They're both a little bit in the way of, sort of damage output. They've got a little bit of control in there as well. Obviously, they've got the Eye of Agamotto, allowing them to reroll all of their dice, including failures, which does make them very, very consistent. Add some extra rerolls on top of that, and they can be very, very good. This was a really close one, but for me, the original Doctor Strange just edges it out there. Next up, we have got Brock Rumlow, aka Crossbones, and this guy's been in a little bit of a sad state of affairs for a long time. A small base with a small move makes him very, very difficult to play and get around the board. He's obviously coming up against Crossbones' Merciless Merc from the brand new core box. And whilst I don't think there's much in it, they both have that small base, they both have that short move. I really, really like that Plasma Beam. Yes, it's only beam 3, but it's got a potential pierce on there. He's also got a hit and run, which does allow him to get around the board a little bit better. Yes, he loses the Inuit to Pain, and he's just got that I Can Take It. Biggest difference there is I Can Take It is damage reduced by 1 to a minimum of 1. Inuit to Pain, you can reduce it to 0, but you do have to spend a power. I think he could be quite fun. One of the lesser ones for me in the new core box, and one of the lesser ones in the original core box. But just because he's new and shiny, I'm going to give this one to the Merciless Merc. Next up, Otto Octavius. Obviously the original Dr. Octopus from the core box. He's a 3-threat, and he's a character I still believe a lot of people sleep on. He brings an absolutely amazing tactics card when he teams up with Green Goblin. Obviously coming up against Doc Ock, Sinister Scientist. A brand new leadership in the game, Sinister Six. Yes, guys, we have eventually got the Sinister Six. Yes, it is a Spider-Foes leadership, but we do have Sinister Six. I'm really, really excited about this version of Dr. Octopus. Not only is the model absolutely amazing, I think he deserves that extra 1 threat to be a 4-threat and get access to all of those extra things. Arm Lasers 2.0 dishing out Incinerate on a Wild with a Beam 4 is going to be absolutely great. He still keeps that scientific hubris, so yeah, if you can't tell, guys, the new Doc Ock Sinister Scientist gets my vote. Next up, another character from the original core box that did get a little bit of a glow up, but it was just never enough. He's only part of the Cabal affiliation, and whilst he's an absolutely solid character, he's just vying against so many other 4-threats for his place in a Cabal roster. Obviously going up against the brand new Ultron Metal Tyrant, and if there were 2 models in this game that show how far AMG have come when you're looking at actual sculpt and model design, this new Ultron model is absolutely beautiful. He's going to be a threat more, but obviously he comes with those Ultron bots as his grunts. they're a little bit lackluster. However, I really, really like this new Ultron. So for me, the new Ultron gets that tick of approval. Okay, we have got Helmet Zemo next. One of, if not the best character in the original core box. For a 3-threat, he does so much. Even as a standalone character, he's great, but add in that strategic genius, giving everybody around him one reroll in attack and defense is so good. He's got a long move with a charge, which is just absolutely brilliant in this game. Really good. He's obviously coming up against Baron Helmet Zemo, the new 4-threat version, who has the Hydra affiliation Army of Evil. I'm not particularly over enamored with this guy. His adhesive X pistol can be really nice. If you do manage to get a stagger off, it can be really good. Army of Evil as a leadership, I think it's a little bit lackluster. Not a great fan of that one. Look, sometimes, guys, original is just best, and this is one of those cases. For me, it goes to the original Baron Zemo. Next up, we have got James Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier. This guy wasn't played anywhere. He got an absolute glow up in the card changes back in 2022, and he is, you see him absolutely everywhere. Obviously, bringing that rogue agent, meaning that he can be a 3-threat in any affiliation and count towards their affiliation numbers, that 51% plus that you need. Assault rifle range 5 even, but got your back is absolutely brilliant. Even Red Fury is good. Yes, he goes down like an absolute sack with that 2 Mystic defense, but he's usually done enough damage before that happens. Obviously coming up against Winter Soldier Operative, still James Bucky Barnes, obviously. Look, this new guy brings a lot of cool stuff with him. But I think for me, the fact that he doesn't have that rogue agent and the fact that he costs a threat more, I actually prefer the original. I just think he does so much in this game. Winter Soldier Operative is going to be very fun to play. It's going to be interesting to see where he is. It'd be interesting to see if he's got a tactics card that lets him play elsewhere, but right now he doesn't have that rogue agent, so for me it's going to go to Winter Soldier, the original. Okay, another big hitter from the core box that got a change that made her very playable, and you see her quite a lot now, is Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. They reduced that cost of that Danvers special, which made it far more achievable, especially if you're sat under Steve's leadership, the original Steve, that is. But I think, again, she could be really good under the new Steve. She is, however, coming up against a jacked up version of herself. Captain Marvel, Cosmic Avenger. She has a normal form. She also has a binary form. I really like they've given her the transform ability. They explained that the reason why is they wanted to show these new features in the core box. So like Ultron with his grunts, we've now got Captain Marvel, Cosmic Avenger with that transform ability. She is an absolute powerhouse. She should have always been 5-threat for me. She's one of the characters that suffered because she was in the original core box and they wanted to keep it a little bit more simple. I cannot wait to start playing with this new version of Danvers, so that one gets my vote. Okay then, guys. Look, we all know about James Logan Howlett, the original Wolverine. He is one of maybe the worst 4-threat in the game right now. He's most definitely not the best at what he does. He was superseded and outshone by X-23, who is a threat less. So it was a welcome when Logan the Wolverine came onto the scene. This guy is absolutely brilliant. My only gripe is that he is behind, and I know people don't think the word paywall applies here, but it's a character that's in a box where you have to buy a whole bunch of terrain as well to get your hands on it. But guys, there is absolutely no... These two characters are just absolute night and day. Logan the Wolverine takes it every single time. His counterpart in the new box, we have got Victor Creed Sabertooth. Obviously coming up against Sabertooth Apex Predator. And I'm going to be honest, guys, this one may have seemed very clear-cut, but Sabertooth, the original Sabertooth, has done some absolute work for me in some of my older rosters. I played him a lot in Brotherhood, back when we didn't have the likes of Juggernaut and some of the newer characters, and he was an absolute staple in my unaffiliated list or unaffiliated roster that I put together, that I won 2 or 3 different tournaments with. Yes, the new Sabertooth Apex Predator is very, very good. It does feel like they are probably half a threat apart. Definitely not as far apart as the 2 Wolverines. But just because of that catch run and that primal pounce, I'm going to have to give it to Sabertooth Apex Predator. Although Sabertooth OG will always have a place in my heart. And there we go, guys. That is all of the characters in the game that have alternative models that you can't put. So let's take a look at some final scores and see if the OGs beat out the new kids, as we are calling them. So the OGs, we had Captain America, we had Black Widow, Hulk, MODOK, Doctor Strange, Baron Zemo, and Winter Soldier, giving them a total of 7 points. But the new kids did just edge it out. There's definitely a couple in there that could have gone either way, but they had Red Skull, they had, Daredevil was never going to be on the fence, Daredevil, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Crossbones, Doc Ock, Ultron, Captain, nearly called her Captain Danvers then, Captain Marvel, Wolverine, and of course Sabertooth, giving them a total of 10 points. And there we go, guys. That is my breakdown of every character in the game who has multiple characters and which one I think is the best right now based on the threat levels and everything else of what they do. But let me know in the comment section below. What do you think? Do you prefer some of the older characters? Do you prefer some of the newer characters? The thing for me, as we're comparing these characters side by side, is that it is not a case of, or you've got to buy the newer version, because if you don't buy the newest version, then you're not playing the best version. Some of those older characters that didn't even win are still absolutely perfectly serviceable, especially when you get them at different threat levels. You know, Carol Danvers, for example, as a 4 threat is still going to be absolutely brilliant under probably either of the Steves in the Avengers. You know, Red Skull, Master of Hydra, is widely played. It brings a great 5 threat option. Peter Parker, less so, you know. Wolverine, less so. But let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Always love to get your feedback. I want to just say as well, guys, this video will be going out on a Monday. I am actually on holiday now for a week, so there won't be any live streams or anything this week. I'm taking a week off, but I will be back in a week's time with some more pre-recorded videos, and we'll be back with probably a special edition of the Dawanawonga just to catch up, and then we'll be doing the weekly bugle again on Wednesday, so make sure you check that out. I want to give a big shout out to Leodis Games, the sponsor of the channel. Just makes it that much easier to buy all of the things that I need to buy, and as a thank you for that, there is a reward down in the bottom for you guys where you get £5 off your first qualifying order. Also want to give a big shout out to the Patreons who support me to make this sort of content. It really does help. I probably wouldn't be able to do all of these things without you guys, so it's really appreciated. And if you do want to support the channel, you can do from as little as £1 a month. There'll be a link down in the description below. But look, guys, you don't have to support me on Patreon to support the channel. If you can just leave a like, if you can leave a comment, if you can share the video, all of that really helps pushing it up those YouTube rankings and the algorithm and whatever it's doing on a particular day. So all of that really does help. Check out the Discord as well if you haven't done. It's completely free to join. I've got nearly 1,000 people on there in the community, both Shatterpoint and MCP. great mix of both. If you need any advice, whether you're building your lists or showing off your latest painting, it's a great place to hang out, and it's a great community that we're building over there. Guys, that'll be it for me. As I say, I'm having a week off, so I hope you guys all have fun over the summer holidays, and as always, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, bye for now.